Again, today's episode, I'll be sharing with you guys the topic of my cutting update, where it's going to be going, along with an invitation to join me on my cutting journey. And also at the end of the video, I'll be discussing several benefits of cutting weight that you may have not already considered. So first things first, to all the new subscribers who just came to the channel, people who don't already know already, I basically started off extremely skinny, bulked up to around 230 over the span of a couple of years. Then I went from 230 to around 210, 212, stayed there for around 3 years or so. And then I told myself, look, I'm gonna get on a cut. I don't know where I'm gonna go with this, but I'm just gonna take it 5 pounds at a time. And long story short, I went from 212 and 20 weeks later, I'm 192.5. So it's almost 20 pounds and I'm going for a couple more pounds. Have my eyes on the 185, but I'm taking that a little bit slower, as you may have already seen on Instagram. If you guys don't already have me on Instagram, check me out, Pg.coaching. But that's pretty much it. And I think it's really interesting because you guys have seen a lot of my videos in the past. I've posted at least 300 videos by now, maybe even 350, deleted a couple of them too. You guys have seen me in a bulked up state, and I feel like I've been inspiring a lot of people on Instagram so far, even on the YouTube community, people saying, look, this looks so much better, you look like you're in such a better place. And oftentimes people who say that they're in a better place, it's not necessarily true. You're just able to tell off of how they present themselves on camera and in person, stuff like that. But I actually do feel noticeably better ever since I lost this weight. It just feels like a more minimalist look, minimalist feel. I feel a lot sharper, and there's a host of other benefits that come with it. So I'll just start off by giving you guys a quick rundown of how the cut has been going, and then we're gonna jump into other stuff. So first things first, let's start with the reason why I decided to cut. I was basically at a point in my life where I just wanted more clarity in my mind. I wanted more of a minimalist style of living. And one of the best ideas I had was, look, if I'm already getting rid of a lot of stuff, I'm selling a bunch of stuff, I'm clearing my mind, I might as well cut some fat while I'm at it too. So I decided to cut 5 pounds at a time, went to 205. I said, look, I could take this rabbit hole could go a bit further, so let me go to 200. And then I'm like, you know what, 195. Now I have my eyes on 190. So it just kept going because I just kept feeling good. And the reason why I kept feeling good, and this is the point I wanted to bring home to you guys, is I took it very slowly. So when I talk on social media, for example, about losing 20 pounds in 20 weeks, 1 pound per week, that doesn't sound that sexy. It doesn't really excite that many people. But the reality is that it's very sustainable, because now I'm sitting 20 pounds lighter and I feel amazing. And the reason why is because I didn't rush it. I took the necessary steps to get there. Obviously, I've spoken about fat loss in the past in my older videos, but at the same time, you guys would still look at me and say, well, he's not lean. Not to say that I'm necessarily super lean now, but I am relatively leaner than before. And now you guys are seeing and living proof that you guys can do this as well. And I'm gonna be sharing with you guys so many of these different steps in separate videos, but I've also spoken about it in videos in the past, but I will revive certain tips and break it down in even more simple terms. So on that same note, kept cutting weight, kept making modification changes. I did a lot of my calculations on my FitnessPal. If you guys don't already know it, it's a free app. You could pay for certain features, but generally speaking, you could just download it and get to work. You just set your goal weight. I had a step tracker, so it's just calculating my steps for the day. That helped as well. And just stuff like that. So I just made certain modifications, change up certain snacks, change up my my meal prep, for example. Every week I just told myself, how can I make this better? And there was only one period in that 20 weeks where I was having a bit of issues. I think it was on week 10 where I was around 201 or so, and I was having a bit of digestive issues for like 2-3 days, but I managed to clear that up. I was missing a little bit of fiber in my nutrition, and I got my fiber up slightly more, cleared a lot of stuff up, but I still managed to lose that 1 pound that week. And I've been receiving a lot of questions, for example, on Instagram of what is my body fat percentage. I think body fat percentage is very important, but at the same time, it's very flawed with a lot of the approaches. And what I mean by this, a lot of, for example, caliper tests, they could be off by a couple percentages. Even certain DEXA scans, you hear about it, they're off by like 2-3%. So I do think they're important, and they are still a ballpark of information you can still gather. But at the same time, I go by other ways of tracking my progress. I don't only go on body fat. I also go on body weight. I go on performance in the gym. I go on performance outside the gym. I know this may sound cliche, but also like how you feel. If I feel good on a regular basis, it still is a good sign, even though I can't really put much of a number on it. I go by clothing sizes as well. So I look at my belt notches. I see where it's at. Just factors like that. These make a big difference in helping me track my progress. But as far as the body fat percentage is concerned, you guys can check out my Instagram, Pg.coaching, follow you guys back, and you'll see for yourself my journey, my transformation, a lot of the steps I've taken in, wall posts, Instagram stories, stuff of that nature, and you could be the decider for yourself. I know for an absolute fact I'm below 20% body fat, that's for sure, but at the same time, I don't know. I can't give you guys a clear answer because I'm not sure, and these things are very flawed like I just said. But overall, that's personally where am I right now. My target is 185. That's where I have my eyes right now, but who knows, maybe I will be slightly lower than that. But right now, 185 seems fine to me. It seems very logical, but I'm not gonna take the same approach that I took within the last 20 weeks where I'm gonna be cutting 1 pound per week. These last 7, 8 pounds, I'm gonna take them a little bit slower. And the reason why is because I'm trying to preserve as much muscle mass as possible. I'm not necessarily in a rush, even though I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. But one thing is, most likely for sure for the future, is that I will not be bulking up like before. Before it was more of a perma bulk. I was trying to be like, look like those linebackers, strongman competitors, heavyweight UFC fighters, just be bigger overall. I don't have to go into that zone anymore. I don't have to enter that territory of over 200. I could probably be that guy who stays at a 190 when I'm quote unquote bulked up, and then 185 when I'm a bit, in the maintenance mode, and maybe even slightly lower when I'm leaner. That's just an idea. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but you guys will have to tune in to see that. But as far as you guys are concerned, if you guys have been watching me for a while, you guys have been reaping, for example, some inspiration from watching my page, watching me cut, feel free to send me DMs, send me pictures, whatever the case is, and join me along on this cut. Join me for the next 12 weeks, and let's see what we can make happen. Take it very slowly. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice. The only exception is if you're obese, then you could accelerate a bit more. You don't have to lose a pound a week if you're obese, but let's say, you're 20% body fat or so, and you want to get down to 15, you could take it 1 pound per week, nothing wrong with that. And if you're lifting heavy in the gym, if you're tracking certain variables, then it should be mostly fat that you're losing. So that's the thing too. When I cut my 20 pounds or my 19 and a half pounds, I'm not claiming by any means that it's all a fat loss either. Some of it's water weight, maybe a little bit of his muscle, but I'm trying to minimize the muscle loss. And that pretty much wraps that up. So that's basically my cutting update. I want you guys to join me on this cut if that's what you're into, if that's your current goals at the moment. And now we're gonna get into a handful of the benefits you may have not already considered about getting leaner. So the first point I wanna make is until you get leaner, I'm not saying shredded by any means, but until you get noticeably leaner, you don't necessarily know how you look like. And a good example of that would be people who wear, baggy sweatpants or baggy hoodies or baggy sweaters to the gym. You don't really know what their body looks like because the fabric, the shirt, the pants are just hiding the way they look. It's hiding all the proportions. And the same thing can be said about body fat. Body fat, when you're, 20+% body fat, you don't really know. You could be having, for example, certain proportions you don't know about. You could have certain veins hiding you don't know about. And obviously, if you're a woman, maybe you don't want to get that low to your body fat. But if we're talking more about men and you're 20% body fat and you go lower, you'd be really shocked to see how you look. Even if you don't have that much muscle under, you'll still get a better idea of how you look, as opposed to if you're always 24/7, year in, year out in a bulked up state. And I personally feel myself that the biggest thing that's gonna change is your face. And if, for example, if you're in a business where you're on camera a lot and it's mostly just your face that you're showing, and having a better looking face is a big priority to you, leaning down is a big deal because it does a number of things. First off, you're gonna have less fat on your neck, so your Adam's apple is gonna show more, jawline's gonna be more defined, the cheeks are gonna suck in more, it's gonna give your face a more vertical shape. You might even have some veins around your forehead level. Your nose may look more sculpted. There's so many different things that happen to your face, and that's actually one of the biggest compliments you'll probably receive when you start leaning down, is that people will start saying, hey, you look so much different, but they're not looking at the rest of your body for the most part. A lot of times they're looking at your face, and that's really what changes. Obviously, body fat distribution plays a huge role. You know, your face might be more stubborn, might hold a lot more fat. I know, for example, my face holds a lot of fat. My stomach does as well. My glutes do too. And there's other areas of my body, for example, that don't hold a lot of fat, like my lower back, my Christmas tree. I get a lot of people saying it looks really shredded right now, even though I'm at a higher body fat. My arms, from my biceps, triceps, my forearms, they don't hold a lot of fat. There's certain areas that just don't hold, so you're gonna have to find that out for yourself when you start leaning down. And obviously you can't spot reduce. You can only get lean overall and, you know, hope for the best. But overall, be expecting that. And if you want a sharper looking face, or just a sharper looking body overall, leaning down is gonna do that for you. It's gonna reveal everything. And it's kind of like when you, for example, go to the tailor to get your, you know, your suit tailored, whatever the case is. It just gives you a much sharper look, except now it's not your clothes, it's actually your body. So you're gonna have a much better idea how you look, and you have no idea how you look until you actually start stripping down some fat. And if you guys have been lifting for the last couple of years, it's even better, because the muscle to fat ratio will be much better. So a good example of this is that some people, they're very lean, and obviously, you know, if we're talking about good looks and stuff like that, it's all subjective at the end of the day. But let's say someone's very lean, but they have very little muscle. They're just considered skinny. But let's say someone's really bulked up, but they have so much fat that it's just really hiding the muscle, so they don't have enough muscle to pull off that heavier look. Then they just come off as fat. But there's that really sweet range where you have just enough of a low body fat and you have just enough muscle where it just looks so sharp. It's just a complete package, and that's what a lot of guys are striving for, and I invite you guys to strive for that as well. So number two, this is a 2-in-1, but your body is gonna move through space a lot easier, meaning that you're gonna be able to run faster, you're gonna be able to jump higher, along with excelling at your body weight training at a lot of a faster rate. And the reason why is because you have less fat in your body, so it's just easier to get around, you're more agile, you're a lot quicker. And to me personally, in the past, I wouldn't have said this, but right now, being faster, it gives you more of a complete package. It's just more badass. You're strong, you're jacked. Along with that, you could jump high and you could run fast in shorter periods of time. And you never know, there might be certain emergencies where you might need to run fast. And just handy overall. You guys don't need the extra weight if you guys have been lifting for a couple of years, and if you guys are not competing in strongman, or, you know, you're not a heavyweight athlete like a UFC fighter, if you're not a heavyweight powerlifter, you don't need that extra weight, especially if you have a good amount of muscle packed in that frame. It's only gonna show more of the muscle, and you're gonna feel so much better about it, and you're gonna feel more athletic. Even if you don't play sports, you just know that you're just faster than if you were to be at a much heavier body weight. And as far as the body weight training is concerned, you might cut down, you know, 20, 30 pounds, and now you're able to do front levers. Now you're able to do muscle ups. Now you're able to do a one-arm chin-up, or at least get a lot closer to it. Now you're doing archer pull-ups. You know, you're doing handstand push-ups. You know, you're at a hotel, for example, on the other side of the world. There's no gyms around. You're doing your handstand push-ups in the hotel. Like, it's still very cool, still very respectable, and it's something that still should be taken into account. So the third point is that it's a lot easier to take pictures. It's a lot easier to take videos in general. What do I mean by this? If we're talking about being in the fitness world, for example, or forget about the fitness world, you're just in any industry and you want to take a lot of pictures, but you're just this person who's at a really high body fat. It's not to say that you won't get good pictures, because it's all subjective at the end of the day. But if we're talking about looking leaner, looking sharper, a lot of that muscle that you have is just hidden under layers of fat. So you might find yourself in a scenario where you take, you know, 50 pictures and only a handful of them are really good. And the reason why is because there's a lot of fat covering the muscle, and you don't really see, for example, the separation from muscle to muscle. All you see is mass. So for example, let's say if you're in a leaner state now, you could see the separation. You could see the split between the chest and the shoulder. You could see the separation between the forearm and the upper arms. Just stuff like that. You can see more veins. You look a bit more vascular. Even if you're not super lean, I'm not condoning, I'm not saying everybody has to get shredded, but if you get to a certain leaner state, you're gonna feel that taking pictures is much easier. Like, I have a buddy, for example, Z, if you're watching this, and he's at a really lean state right now. He's not shredded, but he's at a nice lean body, and sometimes we take photos of each other for marketing purposes, and it's really impossible for me to take a bad picture because every photo just looks so good. He just has that high definition look. And if you guys are looking for that, if you guys don't want to break your heads trying to take tons of pictures, you just want to get it right, the first couple shots. If you get leaner, you're gonna notice it's a lot easier, and you won't have to complain about, oh, this isn't my angle, or the lighting is off, or stuff like that, because most of the time the photo is gonna look good anyways. So it saves you a lot of time, and from a marketing standpoint, from whatever your business you're in, it's a lot easier. And this brings me to my next point. It's that when you're leaner, it shows that you just went the extra mile. So what do I mean by this? If you're, for example, a dentist, you're an orthodontist, you're a tattoo artist, you're a barber, yeah, sure, most people are coming in because they just want to get their hair cut. They don't really care about how you look like. They just want to get their teeth clean. But at the same time, when they walk into that office, they walk into your shop, and they see that you actually took the time out of your week, out of your months and your years to get into better shape, it doesn't necessarily mean much, but it just means that you took the extra mile, and it gives certain people a certain kind of respect for you. Not to say you should care about, people respecting you or stuff of that nature, but it's still a nice feeling knowing that you went the extra mile. People around you, they just feel good being around you, and it's just the way it is. It's just, you don't have to, for example, if you go to the grocery store, you don't have to smell good, you don't have to wear nice clothes, but just the fact that you actually kept yourself well groomed, you kept yourself together, you walked in there, you look clean, you look sharp, it's still a sign of respect to a certain extent. So it doesn't necessarily have a difference on the impact. Like, you're still gonna get the same haircut, you're still gonna get the same teeth clean, but it just shows on the part of the person who works there that they went the extra mile, and it's still a good look, at least in my opinion. So that pretty much wraps it up. That's a cutting update on my part. If you guys want to know more details, check out my Instagram, Pg.coaching. Also an invitation to join me on this cutting journey. So you could just send me DMs, send me pictures. You could comment on this video down below, all the above. In fact, let me know in the comment section down below, what are your current goals right now? And if you guys need help, let me know, and I'll definitely help you guys with that. And also, that's a list, there's a handful of benefits that you guys may have not already considered at cutting weight. So if you guys were already eager to cut weight, hopefully these benefits gave you guys more reasons to do so and to stay on track. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and be on the lookout for more, and I'll see you guys next time.